Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the Libra full moon happening April 16th at 11:55 Pacific time. Please adjust to your own time zone. Now before I begin, if you'd like a reading from me at any point, the link is in the description box below. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube content to get more videos like this. I'm also on TikTok, Patreon, Instagram. So again, give me a follow. Now, the first thing is look at where 27 degrees of Libra is in your chart. So look at the house that it's in. And that's the area of life where you can kind of wrap something up, complete something, bring something to fruition, even manifest something. And with Libra, Libra is about beautifying. So Libras love to beautify interior spaces, lighting, sounds. They also love to beautify conversation by evening out the flow of communication. And so in that context, Libra tends to be about relationships. It's about compromise, accommodation. Now the question is, do we compromise ourselves when we balance things out? Do we smooth out the edges? Do we leave any raw materials behind? I think the answer is to some extent, yes. But the thing with this moon is that Pluto is going to be squaring that moon. And Pluto is about, in this context, revealing the rough edges, bringing out hidden secrets. What are the darker impulses lying beneath relationships? What are the secrets that we hide? So this is where the moon, by the way, was at the beginning of the astrological new year, at the beginning of Aries season. So this is going to keep pushing us forward and give us a window into how this year is going to play out. But getting back to this Pluto moon square, which I think is the essence of this full moon, Pluto is almost we're kind of attempting to control our emotions, the emotional dynamics. We almost develop, coping mechanisms to ignore certain uncomfortable truths or emotions. And this square builds so much tension that eventually the reality breaks through. The real sensations and emotions and feelings, the raw materials, again, come out. And for you, this probably will happen, again, in your relationships. So are there relationships where you feel like, things have felt off for a long time? This is that full moon to kind of confront these things. In the context of art, again, Libra is about beautification. Maybe there's an art project that you felt stuck on, or there is a sort of volcanic eruption of emotions with Pluto that you can channel into your creation. So again, bring in your raw materials. Show your raw materials through your art. Or again, bring in some authenticity to your relationships. And then in general, outside of relationships, what emotions are you ready to release? What are you almost ready to revel in? But then beyond that, what are you ready to reveal about your true self? What did you leave behind? What raw materials did you leave behind on the cutting room floor? This is the time to bring that back. Integrate that into yourself. Integrate that into your relationships. And again, into your creations. Yeah, the kind of interesting thing is that Pluto is going to be squaring the sun as well. So theoretically, we're actually conscious of our compulsions, our impulses, our obsessions, or again, the things we've repressed. So I think we're kind of going through this process of like going into a sensory deprivation tank, getting rid of sight, sound, all these things. If you look into the dark for long enough, what figures emerge? Again, what truths emerge about ourselves? There is something beneath the pleasant Libra veneer and the sort of confident Aries attitude. There is something else that's lurking below that. So this is really, again, this full moon is your time to dig up that sort of that authenticity that maybe you compromise on sometimes to make things work. To even just like make things work internally with yourself, to present a certain image, to try to control an image. Like this is that time when it's like no longer working, where it's like, okay. Again, I'm done sort of putting on a face for people. And again, even in relationships, doing that. So now moving into Pisces, we have a few planets in Pisces, and ever since like Jupiter's been in Pisces, so for pretty much this whole year, I think there's been a fair amount of confusion and a sense of exhaustion. And that's okay. A lot of people might say, well, this new moon is great. This full moon is, really good time to manifest. There's probably a good chunk of you watching who kind of feel like every lunar cycle right now is just getting weirder and more exhausting. And that's still kind of possible because, we do have this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces still in effect from April 12th. But I really, even though that can be kind of an elevation of consciousness and spirituality, I do feel like there's also a part of us that is like a little bit sick of it, of like sick of like, why are we wallowing and suffering and sitting in our emotions for so long? We're immersing it. We're letting it marinate for too long. Like, can we just put this thing in the oven? Like, can we cook this, and add some heat? And that's what Aries is, right? Aries is a fire sign. It's still Aries season at this full moon, but there's a push and pull where it's like we want to act with Aries. We want to move forward. We want to initiate something, but Pisces isn't letting us. It's saying, no, get out of your body and ignore the ego and think more compassionately about humanity. But when we think about all of humanity, it can be heavy. It can feel like a weight on our shoulders of like, well, I'm not ready to carry that burden. I'm not ready to feel what everyone feels. And I think, to be honest, we've had this Pisces energy for long enough. Like I can even say that as like a water sign. I feel like, maybe if you have very little water in your chart, this is actually a good time to, embark on this journey of self-discovery by tapping into your emotions further. But otherwise, there's just a deluge and we kind of need a little bit of grounding. But, on the other side, Venus in Pisces, this is compassionate, unconditional love. On the other hand, though, idealizing love or expecting to be saved by a partner. Now, kind of getting it out of the relationship side of things for a second, Pisces does allow for a lot of creativity. So you see, I've got a guitar back here. I'm a creator. I love to create. This full moon, I think, because it's ruled by Venus, this is actually a good time to, again, pick up an old project or, maybe even finish one because it is a full moon. So if any of you are creators or artists out there, like, this might actually be a good time to really complete that project. Now, thinking about Mercury conjunct to Uranus, I actually like this. This gives the full moon a little bit of groundedness. So Mercury is the mind, Uranus is sort of the higher awareness, the collective mind. And we might gain more clarity on something in the area of life where Taurus is in our chart. So look at that house. What house is that in? So in the 11th house, maybe this actually activates some sense of innovation in you. Or you want to project a lot of new ideas on social media. And in general, you can pick up information really quickly with this conjunction. So read a lot, analyze a lot of things, see what you find. And also this invites sudden movements and changes in perspective. So what you think about a situation, how you perceive a situation before that is not the same as today. But on the flip side, feeling restless and impatient. That's really the only downside to me of a Mercury-Uranus conjunction. We feel maybe too desperate to find the answer to something, like we need to be original or inventive to the point where we break things that aren't broken. Because Uranus has a tendency towards recklessness. And in Taurus, it's almost about destabilizing what we really want to be stable. Things like currency and value, both in the stock market and in our own pocketbook. So, not going to lie, this could deal with inflation. Slightly, but overall I would see it more as like it's a good transit as long as you're not overly ambitious about, again, destabilizing things, where you're kind of more inviting progress. You're pushing things, you're pushing boundaries and you're getting things out of this. Again, with Pisces, we might feel a little stuck right now. So the Mercury-Uranus conjunction, look at that area of the chart. Again, where is Taurus? Is it in your 5th house? Mercury-Uranus conjunction? that could be really creative. That's very expressive. So maybe you have like a way to integrate technology into a performance art, or there's something that you enjoy, a hobby or a side hustle in the fifth house that now you can pay close attention to with Mercury there. Now we Saturn in Aquarius. It's still in Aquarius. It's been there for a couple of years. Well, I mean, really since December 2020, it's really been in there for a while. But this is kind of about struggling to mingle with people and feeling shut down still. So I know that like a lot of the rules have changed and like things have opened up a little bit, but people might feel like, I don't know. It feels like we're still stuck. We're still stuck in the zone we were in. That's because Saturn puts limitations and introduces fears in the Aquarian areas. And Aquarius deals with things like venues and groups and friend groups, shared activities, social activities, collaboration. And, the thing is that Saturn will be in Aquarius until March 2023. So it is possible that this feeling of being locked down, even if we're not, will persist until then. But even if not, it's still going to feel like we have to put a lot of effort into socializing with groups. And I know that some people have really fallen out with friends and they feel like maybe they're not connected anymore to the groups they belong to before the situation. But, that's with Saturn, it's more of a slow build. So right now with Saturn in Aquarius, even if it starts with like 1 or 2 or 3 people, just know that you're building your long-term groups maybe from the ground up right now, but in the long run, that'll pay off. So I would urge a little patience with the social situations. If you feel like a little cut off still from that, things are really going to turn around at the beginning of 2023. But in the meantime, incrementally, you can start to build up those communities locally. And it's also trining the moon. So along with that Pluto square, are we ready to reveal or shed the toxic parts of our relationships through some type of catharsis so that we can actually commit to something in the long term? So Saturn is almost a beautiful kind of like, it's like a concentration, focus, and dedication. It's like we're dedicating ourselves to the relationship now that we've gotten rid of, we've repaired it. Because Pluto is about repair. So what I talked about earlier about like not leaving things on the cutting room floor, introducing the edges again that Libra might try to like smooth out. On the other hand, this could also be really healthy to let go of things that were really holding you back. Attempts at manipulation, attempts at, pressing people's buttons. That's a very Pluto moon square thing. So, we're learning to let go of control and say like, my partner is allowed to feel this way or this way at this time. I'm not going to try to suck them into my compulsions. So I think this is a really healthy kind of antidote and complement to the Pluto moon square. And for some people, though, this could be about relationships ending, where you realize that, there's an impasse here, that even that the toxic stuff was so deeply rooted that it was unsustainable. But then with that Saturn trine, maybe being able to see like what actually works for me, what is that, again, foundation from the ground up that I want to build. And maybe that relationship has its origins in these groups, because Saturn and Aquarius, you're slowly building out your new group, your new community. And within that community, maybe you'll find someone that you're romantically involved with. Now, I want to end with a geopolitical thing that connects actually to the Aries new moon cycle that we're in. And this is very important, so keep watching. So we are in an Aries new moon cycle, and this involved a Mercury, Chiron, Sun conjunction. Now, Mercury is the mind, Chiron is wounds and health, and Aries deals with the head. So generally, the new moon cycle that we're in, there is a theme of like health challenges, also issues while like on the road while traveling, because Mercury rules local travel. There's also these issues of like wounded masculinity with Chiron and Aries, or a wounded identity, or a feeling we have a chip on our shoulder. So whether it's a literal like wound or a chip on the shoulder, like, mentally, spiritually speaking, there's a lot of, again, physical and mental challenges right now. And the sun rules leaders and executives. And, again, I already explained the Mercury Chiron thing, but there's 2 dates in and around this full moon that I think are really, really important for the United States. So on April 12th, the Leo moon, there's going to be a Leo moon that crosses Joe Biden's Chiron and North Node. And that Leo moon is going to be where it was at the Leo full moon, February 16th, which I've talked about a lot. And even that has its origins in the 8-8 Lionsgate from the previous year, from 2021. And I've been following this narrative and this thread, and there's pretty clear thread, I think. So, you had the Leo new moon 8-8. 8 is a Scorpio degree. The Lionsgate is sort of a portal. And I said on a previous YouTube video that would be a 90-day preview of or that the Taurus full moon in November was going to be a preview, 90-day preview of the next Leo full moon. And anyways, on that Taurus lunar eclipse last November, Kamala Harris was president for about an hour while Joe Biden was getting a colonoscopy. So far that prediction was checking out with the themes I was exploring. And then around February 16th, of course, the whole situation in the world started to change, but now we have that moon coming back to that position, and during a very choice moment, a conspicuous moment, which is the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction on April 12th. And Pisces is about endings. It's about exhaustion. It's about sickness. It's about, in a lot of ways, feeling drained of our vitality. And so with the moon conjunct to his Chiron, which is about wounding and health, and the North Node being about destiny, it's like is something coming to a completion in a lot of ways. And on top of that, the South Node is going to be near his Mercury. The South Node is also something about kind of draining vitality, and Mercury is the mind, and it's in his 12th house, which deals with things like sickness and mental health. So obviously, I don't want anything to happen. I'm just a researcher, objective researcher. But I wanted to trace these steps and show you, again, like my train of thought there in terms of what's going on in the sky, what I'm observing. And on top of this Libra full moon, the full moon is happening on Kamala Harris's sun. And the full moon on the sun is almost about the completion of a certain mode of expression, a certain role that you play. And so right now, of course, she is the second in command. And so the full moon is like, is it kind of is she sort of transmuting into a new role? And the sun is on her full moon in Aries in the 11th house. The 11th house deals with political parties, and Aries is about leadership. So in that sense, too, on this full moon, she could literally take on a leadership role and lead a political party, which in this case, of course, is the Democratic Party. So there is a risk of a leadership shakeup between April 12th and April 16th. And again, I personally am not anywhere remotely hoping for something, but it's impossible as an astrologer to ignore the facts. And the facts are, again, that since the 8-8 Lionsgate, there's been sort of steady signals and ripple effects of transformation, of leadership, the Scorpio degree, the 8-8, 8 plus 8 being 16, and we had February 16th was the Leo full moon. Now April 16th is the Libra full moon. And we've had so many full moons at 27 degrees, and 27 is a Gemini degree, which deals with splits and twins and two of everything, 2 leaders. And you think about the fact we had 222 this year. So it's almost inescapable to me that there's these themes coming back up. So however you spin it, there is a geopolitical significance to this full moon. But again, just want to call it out. So thank you so much for listening in. I'm Evan Nathaniel Grimm. I'm the founder and lead analyst of Inner Worlds Astrology. Again, if you want a reading, the link is below. Otherwise, keep following along. I'm going to keep doing more of these videos. So have a good day, evening, wherever you are.